Hi there, Davey Cretin for Cretin Classics, and sadly I'm here to do another tribute video, a eulogy if you will, for perhaps a lesser known but supremely talented musician. I'm talking about Christopher North, best known for his work with the progressive rock band Ambrosia. I know a lot of you think that Ambrosia, you think the pop hits, but there's a lot more to this band than meets the eye. Christopher was born Christopher Reed North, January 26th, 1951, in San Francisco, California, right here in the USA. Unfortunately, he passed away March 30th, 2026, and I am recording this the following day on March 31st, 2026. He was best known as the keyboard player for Ambrosia. He also sang backing vocals. He was with the band for a few different spells, 1970 to 1977. He left for a little while, came back in 1978 to 1982. Then the band broke up for a few years, and he came back from 1989 all the way to 2024. He had a 60-year career in music from 1964 when he was young in junior high school at 13 playing in bands, more on that in a moment, till 2024. So that's a 60-year career in music. Pretty good to do something that is your passion and your love. He grew up in San Pedro, California, and like I said, he began playing with bands when he was in both junior high and high school. Some of his early groups, and I hope these names are correct, the Prunes, but spelled differently than the band The Electric Prunes. This was spelled Proones. Another band, The Livin' End, with no G at the end of it. And The Exceptions, Thee, The Exceptions. Then in 1968, he and a gentleman by the name, hope I pronounced this right, Tom Trefethen, started a psychedelic rock band called Blue Toad Flax, Flax. And in that band, Christopher North sang lead vocals and played the organ. Now, sometime in 1970, he formed Ambrosia with guitarist David Pack, bassist Joe Puerta, who a lot of you might know from Bruce Hornsby and The Range, and drummer Burley Drummond. Now, Joe Puerta hired North after seeing him perform in a dimly lit room. And Puerta has said of that fateful night, and I'm quoting him here, quote, "There was a coffin with speakers in it. Chris was there playing the organ with a bottle of wine on top of the organ. He was smoking a cigarette, and a girl was massaging his shoulders as he played," end quote. And then Puerta said to himself, "We got to get this guy in the band." Obviously, from that above story, North was known for his very intense live performances, both before, during, and with Ambrosia. Now, really fast, I just want to go through the Ambrosia discography because it's very small. Surprisingly, it's not a large discography. In 1974, they recorded their debut self-titled album. Came out February 1975, and for a debut album, it hit number 22 on the Billboard charts, on the top 200 Billboard chart here in America. And the label, it was a smaller label. It was on 20th Century. Their second album, which followed September 76, year and a half later, hit number 79 on the US chart, so it didn't do as well. That was also on the 20th Century label. Second album, by the way, was called Somewhere I've Never Traveled. Perhaps it's their most prog album. Their first two records definitely are art rock, progressive rock, whatever you want to call it. But this band, everyone sang, all four guys sang. So they had great harmony vocals. So they were a progressive rock group with a lot of pop influences with amazing harmony vocals, great vocals. And basically, David Pack and Joe Puerta split up the lead vocals, depending on the album, the song on the record. So Somewhere I've Never Traveled was their second album. Now, Life Beyond LA was their third album. came out August 78, hit number 19, their highest charting record in the U.S. They were on a new label, Warner Brothers. Probably got a bigger push. Warner had more money than 20th Century. Oddly enough, for a record with their first big hit, more on that after, it didn't certify, which is odd because their next album, their fourth album, which came out April 1980, the album was called 180. It hit number 25 in America, also on Warner Brothers Records. That is RIAA certified gold album, 50,000 copies plus sales in America. Their final studio album, Rhode Island, ROAD, Rhode Island, get it, little pun there, came out June of 1982, and this was their worst performing album out of their 5 studio records. Came in at number 115 on the Billboard Top 200 chart. So they lost their deal. The band broke up after that. Now, in the 2000s, they came back. They toured. Actually, they reformed in 1989. They toured. They put out 2 live albums during the 2000s. Live at the Galaxy came out May of 2002 on a small label called Coach House Records. Didn't certify, didn't chart at all either. And then in 2007, they released the live album Standing Room Only through Sony BMG. Didn't chart, didn't certify. So that's the short career, 5 studio albums, few live albums, and some compilations too. Now, in 1977, unfortunately, Christopher had a breakdown and he left the band. Therefore, he's only on 2 tracks on the 3rd album, Life Beyond LA. Now, the 2 tracks he plays on there, 2 of the longer tracks on the record, pardon me. So the 2 tracks he plays on total about 9.5 minutes. So out of the 41-minute record, he's on almost a quarter of it, playing on those 2 songs. While he was out of the band, as I said, he only recorded tracks 4 and 10 on their 3rd album, Life Beyond LA. He is not on what turned out to be their biggest hit, called How Much I Feel, which hit number 3 on the Billboard Hot 100 singles chart. However, North came back to the band in late 1978 for a tour about a year after he initially departed the band. Now, like I said, the band split in 1982 after the poor performance, poor chart action of Rhode Island. Yet they reformed in 1989, and North was with them. Christopher North played with Ambrosia from 1989 till 2024. More on why he left a couple of years ago in a moment. He had some outside appearances from the band. I'm going to talk about the most notable one. The whole band performed on the debut Alan Parsons Project record. And that album, I always forget the name, so I want to read it. Tales of Mystery and Imagination came out April 76 between their first 2 albums. The whole band performs on track 2, which is called The Raven, which is one of the 2 hits, the more known singles from the debut Alan Parsons Project. Great song, The Raven, and Christopher North plays keyboards on that song. You've probably heard that song on classic rock radio. The early Alan Parsons stuff is great. That's one of the reasons I'm wearing my Pink Floyd Dark Side shirt, the tenuous connection here between Alan Parsons and Pink Floyd and Ambrosia, or through Alan Parsons working on the Dark Side of the Moon. So a little tenuous connection there between the band and the band appearing on the debut Alan Parsons record. Now, getting back to, unfortunately, what happened to Christopher, in 2024, he was diagnosed with throat cancer, but he successfully beat it, which was awesome. However, the band announced that after an incident, he was back in the hospital, and it led to him getting pneumonia, weakening his health. Now, according to a social media post by David Pack, who left the band in the early 90s, he was there for the Reformation in 1989, but only stayed with them a few years, then left to produce and have a couple of solo records here and there. According to the social media post by David Pack, not even in the band at the time, Christopher North was unfortunately hit by an out-of-control speeding car while walking to a restaurant. And sadly, he passed away March 30th, 2026, at age 75. My condolences to all of Christopher North's family, his friends, his fellow musicians he played with throughout his 6-decade career, and of course, his fans all over the world. Rest in peace, Christopher, and thank you for all the music that you left for us to enjoy. We'll always have the music. Like I said, for those who only know the pop songs, How Much I Feel, You're the Biggest Part of Me, You're the Woman, there's a lot more to this band than that. They have a lot of great songs, progressive rock songs, pop songs. One of my personal favorites, Christopher North doesn't even play on the title track to Life Beyond LA. What a powerful rock song. Check that out. Great song. Remember hearing it on the radio back in the day. And I want to give a special thanks here at the end of the video to two of my former co-workers at Titus Oaks Record and CD Exchange. In the late 80s and early 90s, both George and Joe turned me on to the music of Ambrosia. I only knew the pop hits at the time, and they played the vinyl for me. I remember the first one they played was perhaps their most prog rock album, the second album, Somewhere I've Never Traveled. So that to me is like the real Ambrosia. That's the prog. The first two albums on 20th Century are great prog rock albums with more than prog. They do a little world music, they do some Latin, calypso, whatever you want to call it. They do prog, they do hard rock, they do pop, they do soulful songs. So a great band, undervalued, underappreciated. Check them out. All this stuff is on streaming, and I was playing the first few records as I got my notes together. So rest in peace, Christopher North. We'll always have the music. I'm Davey Cretin for Cretin Classics. Take care, everyone. Hate to do these videos, but someone's got to pay respect for these great musicians. Thanks. Bye-bye.